Hey, what's up, Steelers Nation? I'm Tyler Feldman. Jaylen Warren, welcome back to the end zone. 2 touchdowns today, 2 more rushing touchdowns than he's had all season.
And I'm Ben Bobick. Welcome back to reality, Indianapolis.
And I'm Wayne Gandy. The Steel Curtain is back, baby. It is back. Let's go on the Steelers Squad Show.
Wave those terrible towels. It's the Steelers Squad. Everything Pittsburgh Steelers every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Steel City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the Steel Curtain to the next generation, the Steelers Squad Show starts now.
Yes, it does. This is the Steelers Squad Show right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Again, I'm your host, Tyler Feldman. On today's show, we're talking all things Steelers Colts. The Steelers beating Indianapolis 27-20. We'll have a full recap, instant reaction, expert analysis, and so much more. 15-year NFL veteran Wayne Gandy, the former Steeler. He is on today's show as always. Ben Bobick, the future mayor of Pittsburgh, joining us as well. And gentlemen, I woke up this morning. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. And here we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I will say started off a little slow. Those 2 fourth-down conversions by the Colts and then scoring, I said, here we go. This defense again. But things settled down. The Steelers forced 6 turnovers. Danny Dimes was Danny Pennies out there today because he wasn't figuring out anything defensively. Wayne, I want to get your initial take on what changed with the Steelers defense today to stop such a high-powered Indianapolis Colts offense, including slowing down the talented Jonathan Taylor.
Reunion Day. They had the 20th anniversary team, the Super Bowl, all the famous players in the locker room around. It was about, that's what I really felt. I felt like bringing that part. We talked about James Harrison. One of the viewers brought his name up a couple of shows ago. And that does infuse Tyler, Ben. I'm telling you, there's a specialness about Pittsburgh. And there's only a select group of teams like that. The Packers are like that. The Cowboys, where there's this group that this chain is part of the fabric of the players. And soon as I looked up and it was alumni weekend, and you got Alan Fanigo, Big Red out there, and Joey.
Well, Big Red is a. I mean, he may still be large, but he looks slim and fit. Man, that is a fit Big Red. I mean, he's looking good.
But I just felt like it really made the defense for a day. And we felt like, or I felt like the best thing about last week was that they were able to go watch the tape and realize we're not going to just win this off of brand names. It's going to have to be a combination that we have some great Hall of Fame bound players, but we're going to have to scheme them up a little bit. And congratulations, Terrell. Did you move Jalen Ramsey to free safety and solve all our issues? All of us on Wednesday night show was, well, who's going to play free safety? We were all scared of who can they bring in to play free safety, and making that move just seemed to be key for, to throw off Daniel Jones, be able to try to handle the Penn State tight end. I'll say it that way so you guys can gloat. But I would just the energy on defense was just at a level for one of the few times this season where it really showed what we've all thought. Now, can we continue that? We don't know, but we're going to ride on this wave today. What a great tackling. I mean, they made tackles today, Ben. I was so happy to watch. Yes, you can catch the ball, but we're going to come up and make tackles. I just thought it was a great day of football for the Steelers.
Once again, a 27-20 win for Pittsburgh at Acrisure Stadium. The field looked pretty good, too. I don't really care who's cutting Mike Tomlin's lawn anymore if they start winning games like this. Steelers now 5-3. Colts fall to 7-2. 3 turnovers through the air interceptions wise, Peyton Wilson, your boy Jack Sawyer, Ben, Joey Porter Jr. as well late in this ball game. And we'll get to maybe some of the things that didn't go as well defensively, but we've got to talk about the positives because they force a Colts team 6 turnovers. They turn those big-time plays and takeaways into points, and that was a huge part of this game, Ben.
Yeah, it absolutely was. I mean, that's what we talked about on Wednesday. I mean, we thought, you know what, maybe this defense is overthinking it a bit. Maybe they're too much in their own heads. Maybe they need to go to the Michael Scott system of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And you know what? They kept it sort of felt that way this afternoon, man. They were fast, violent, and simple, and it was great to see. Tackles being made, like Wayne said, forcing turnovers, and especially a lot of guys that you wanted to see stepping up. Peyton Wilson had a monster game for the Steelers defense. Alex Highsmith, for a minute there, I thought he might have been done for the game. I mean, he went off early for an injury there. I think either the first or second drive of the game for the Colts. And I was like, you know what? He doesn't look like he's moving too well. I don't know if he's going to be available the rest of the game. And then he turns in the best game of the season after that. And it was great to see. Joey Porter was Jr. a little bit shaky there on a couple. That's just him with the penalties. But you know what? I think overall he still did a decent job. But it was just great to see them get after the quarterback, create some turnovers. And I think T.J. Watt. I'm pretty sure they actually mentioned it on the broadcast, and I thought so too. I'm pretty sure the first time he was one-on-one today was that strip sack, and where he came around the side and boom, and that changed the course of the game right there. That was the momentum swing that they needed was to come out and then boom, you hit that, especially after not capitalizing on the first turnover there on the punt. So that was really the game changer there from T.J. Watt. But you just gotta love it from the defense, man. It just felt like they kept it simple. They were doing the fundamentals right. They were in their gaps. They were making tackles. They were getting after the quarterback, and you saw. I mean, that's not easy to do. I mean, you held Jonathan Taylor, arguably the leading MVP candidate in the NFL, to just 45 yards rushing. That's a big deal, and that's something to hang your hat on. And obviously, it results in a big victory at home.
That T.J. Watt strip sack in the first half, I said to myself, well, about time. And that led to Jalen Warren's first rushing touchdown since week 12 of last year. He had a receiving touchdown week 1 of this year, but it's the first rushing touchdown of the season. And then second quarter, that Peyton Wilson interception leading to that Pat Freiermuth touchdown. So Pat had 0 touchdowns through his first 5 games. He now has 3 touchdowns in his last 3 games. So things are starting to pick up. But Wayne, you mentioned it. How do the Steelers make this consistent football? Because you play like this and you start winning football games, those add up. But I think we're still waiting to see. We're like, thank goodness. We saw before the game there was that fan who had a funeral for the Pittsburgh defense. Did you guys see that on social media? There was a casket, and they were saying, come give your thanks to this defense. And, that's just how Pittsburgh operates. But, hey, I don't know if that was seen by the players in the locker room before the game, but it seemed like they had that motivation probably from that 20-year anniversary Super Bowl XL beating Seattle. It was cool to see those guys there, but also just to finally execute was beautiful to see, Wayne.
Yeah, when you talk about, and just to put it in perspective, you go to places like the Lakers and you go to New York for the Knicks. And all the stars come out, Spike Lee and Jack Nicholson and all those. They sit on. Well, that's what the former players of the Steelers are to the current players. They surround the field, and you start looking at guys that you watched, and it's very motivating. I can't stress that enough during this show. When you have the eyes of football gods standing over there with their arms looking at you like, so y'all gonna get after it today? Or it's a lot of pressure. And today I just felt like when you look at the team, the veteran pieces of that defense really was leading this defense. I mean, early on, just in those first couple of drives there, Cam Hayward getting his hand on the ball, and I was, okay, he's up the field. That's penetration. That's hands up. That's energy. And other guys are just feeding. Seemed like the other D tackles started feeding off of that energy. Now what we have to see is, as I said, to me, from this week on, it's more of the combination of the scheme and the player, and not just sitting there and hoping that T.J. Watt make a play or hoping that Jalen Ramsey bails you out, but more of put it within the scheme. And then everybody, they went 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about the rotation. It seemed like everybody on defense played. I really had to go open up to try to figure out. I'm still looking for who number 50 is. I'm like, where did this guy come from? They're blitzing. They're bringing, Peyton Wilson off the edge. He's not just coming in the middle. Patrick Queen. It was like a clubhouse party where everybody wanted to get in on the action, and everyone on a defensive uniform played today. I don't know that anyone did not play in this game, and it wasn't just because somebody was hurt. It was like, okay, your turn. Go out there and bring that energy. And I think if they can bottle that mindset and the egos can accept that's the way we might have to win, because that's a big key. Can these egos be okay with kind of playing this kind of college, high school rotation where everybody gets to play?
I do have to say, Darius Slay, he gets injured every play, it seems like. And so I'm excited to talk about this great defense, but I'm still concerned because even though this is a fantastic win, it was a great day in Pittsburgh. It looked beautiful, fall, crisp, clean, clear, really nice football game. Slay still seems to me to be a little bit of a liability in the secondary, gets banged up a ton. And on those first couple drives, I was like, where are things going here? Alex Highsmith, you dogged him, Wayne, but he came to play today. My biggest thing is not getting too high, not getting too low. I mean, this is a fantastic win, Ben, but we just need to see more of this moving forward because it just hasn't been – it's been a roller coaster. I did not expect to see this in this fashion, but I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, it just needs to be a little bit more consistent now. And we thought, but I think the reason I think a lot of us are excited right now because we thought maybe, and I know Chris mentioned it on Wednesday, he thought, that the defense would take a step in the right direction today, but I'm not sure anybody expected them to take this big of a leap in the right direction. Now it's about consistently doing it. You mentioned Darius Slay. We touched on Joey Porter Jr. I mean, he did have a few penalties as he often does. And fortunately in a game like today, it wasn't game changing, but still a lot of room for improvement, but he did have a couple pass breakups. I think about the one penalty he took. I think it was a pass interference call. I think it was on 2nd and long, and then the next play he comes back up and then boom makes the pass, breaks up the pass. That was good to see. Okay, I got a little adversity. They called you for a penalty. Boom, comes back. They go right back at him the next play, and boom, he breaks up the pass. I love what I saw. It's sometimes you see, and it's professional football, so everybody who's playing in these games are professionals, man. And so you think, oh, the Steelers secondary is depleted. Yeah, but there's another professional behind them looking to make the name for themselves. And sometimes when you see that, you see units come together. I mean, I think Brendan Echols had a solid game today, having to step up and play. James Pierre came in and had a pass deflection as well. He was solid, and he's had a great camp and earned his spot on this roster. And he showed us why a bit today, stepping up in more of a complimentary role. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just needs to be more consistent. You enjoy this one today for obvious reasons because that's a really good Indianapolis Colts team. I mean, there was overload on the graphics. CBS was popping up there on how great this offense has been this season, how many points they've been scoring, how many yards they've been racking up, and whatnot. You have the leading MVP candidate and Jonathan Taylor there in their backfield. So you hang your hat on that, but you definitely want to see it more consistently. We're actually ignoring the coincidence that I don't think is a coincidence today. We've been talking about Wayne had been touching on how they honored the Steelers Super Bowl 40 team. Dick LeBeau was in the building today. The defense, of course, was going to show up with Dick LeBeau in the building. Coincidence? I think not.
Keanu Benton with a sack. Highsmith, 2 sacks. Joey Porter with the sack with that interception. TJ Watt with that strip sack. 5 sacks. I mean, they really pressured Danny Dimes, Dan Jones today. Wayne, what do you think changed defensively? Was it scheme? Was it that energy from the 20-year anniversary of that Super Bowl XL team? Something was different, and maybe they're just a little bit more motivated because of who was there, but also what the talk has been around the team so far, especially defensively, how, hey, they're the highest paid defense in the league, and they're not playing like it, but they played like it a lot today.
Yeah, 7 days to sit around and hear the comments, feel the city, the pressure, understanding and watching on Thursday night that the kid in Baltimore is back. We better get this engine going. All of these are factors to the athlete in the locker room. Certain things trigger you. You get on a cruise control. You watch today, with what's the team up? The Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
They go and beat the Packers.
Yeah.
In Green Bay. They shut that offense down. I think they only scored like 13 points.
16-13 win for the Carolina Panthers.
Over Green Bay. The Green Bay team we just watched.
This league, man. This league.
That's what and that's my point. This league is just, and trust me, guys saw that Lamar Jackson was back. The lead is not safe. That little lead that we were reading our press clippings. We were taking things for granted. We got to continue to go. Now this guy is back. We're only 2 games up. We got to play him twice. We got to get this engine going and start playing football once again. And that's just, to me, more of the representation of the modern day athlete. You know, it is hard. Focus is almost the main thing that you have to work with the modern day, even on the professional level, to try to continue to get them to focus, not to plug into other avenues and get distracted or rest on their laurels, because that's how you feel like that Carolina team came in there and won that game. Oh, it's just Carolina. We just beat the Steelers on the road. We're feeling good about ourselves. We don't have to go to sleep tonight. Let's party, man, all night long. We'll take care of them very easy. And then next thing you know, you lose. So I think the challenge of trying to take your frustration out on the best offense in the league so far, just a great job and for them to go out and dominate defensively the way that they did.
Some may say Green Bay packed it in today against Carolina. A team that did not pack it. It's those uniforms. Those were ancient, and you could tell. They cool, very cool, very cool. If you look to the history of how they built the helmets and designed it, very cool. They packed it in. The Steelers did not. 6 turnovers, yet they only win by a touchdown. Part of me halfway through, I was like, hey, let's save some of these turnovers for next week, right? I mean, this is not a defense that had been doing that a lot recently. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Steelers 27-20 win here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. We'll also head inside Wayne's world and get the 15-year NFL veteran's thoughts on really what he saw in this game and what he's looking at moving forward for this Pittsburgh team. Again, that's next right here on the Squad Show.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, welcome back to the Steelers Squad Show right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. The Steelers taking down the Colts 27-20 in a beautiful Acrisure Stadium scene in Pittsburgh today. 20-year anniversary. The Super Bowl XL team, the players, the coaches honor Bill Cowher, Dick LeBeau, a number of big names and faces there. Joey Porter there, watching his son late in that game get an interception. That had to be cool. Gentlemen, Wayne Gandy, former Steeler. Ben Bobick, not a former Steeler, but a former fan who's still a fan and goes to Steelers games occasionally. I don't know where I was going with that. He's always been a Steelers fan. Just don't get that mistaken. My words got twisted. Don't twist that, okay? I'm Tyler Feldman. So glad you're with us. Aaron Rodgers, 25 of 35, passed for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, got sacked 3 times. Danny Dimes on the other side threw for 342 yards, touchdown, 3 interceptions. That was a big part of this football game. Wayne, I want to dive right into your world right now. Little Wayne's world off the top here in our second quarter of this 4-quarter post-game show. What are your thoughts? What's really on your mind right now as we continue to talk about this victory for Pittsburgh here today?
Well, just like on Wednesday, it's all about Alex Highsmith.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, thank you, young man. Thank you for coming out. And I think when I asked Chris on Wednesday, was he injured? I was really trying to, because I know he had been nursing an injury. So I was going to let him off the hook a little bit based on injury. But he is probably the biggest key. He's like the second receiver that we're kind of always looking for in our mind for the Steelers. It's an important role. He has a big role. He has to keep the defense balanced so that we can get the strip sack like TJ got today, because he gets those one-on-one matchups. The back can't we got to see who's hot tonight. Today, Alex Highsmith was hot. He had about 4 or 5 tackles, 3 or 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, a couple of times where he was forcing Danny Dimes up in the pocket into the pass rush. And I just thought from Wednesday, and it was almost like at a moment I was like, well, did he tune in to the show on Wednesday night? Because
that'd be my guess.
Probably.
This is what I figured he brought to the field. We talked about the secondary and all that. But to me, the defense, as I know the Steeler defense, always is functioned off of having 2 guys that can rush the passer off the edge. You're not going to have a long time to make a decision without blitzing. You're not going to have a long time to make a decision because you got 2 great pass rushers off of the edge, and we're going to make you get the ball out. And I just love the way he responded. And even when the camera cut away to him, you kind of saw the guys reacting to him. His facial expression was kind of like, whoo, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still in. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was
for sure.
Like, whoo, I'm getting it going. I'm answering the bell to play in this game. So I was just very proud to see him in there being disruptive, because he is one of the big keys for me defensively that sometimes gets overlooked, because as I always say, pass rushers come in combos. One guy gets all the credit, but there's typically another guy over there that's rushing the passer to balance the field and make the coordinator have to make a decision on who to chip on.
Highsmith with 4 tackles, 3 solo, 2 sacks. He was fantastic. And like Ben talked about earlier on this show, he was out, looked like he had aggravated something, but came back in. And then, Wayne, you referencing that sigh of relief. I think the last handful of weeks he's been putting on this brave face of, man, I am hurt. Something's not right, but I'm going out there and trying my best. And today it just finally clicked at certain points, and it made a huge difference. Another guy who made a huge difference, Ben, Peyton Wilson. Interception.
Absolutely, man.
14 total tackles. I mean, this is a guy, this defense, as they continue to evolve and try to get better, because, again, this is not a very good defense, at least coming into this game, statistically speaking. But a guy like Peyton Wilson playing like that consistently, that can really help elevate things as well when you put him on top of a healthy Alex Highsmith making plays.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and that's the thing. That's when we said it. We've been saying it the last few weeks. They didn't have a turnover, but we talked about it on Wednesday, man. What drives this defense is turnovers. And what was great to see about it wasn't just the TJ Watt one was the game changer, but Alex Highsmith forced a fumble. Peyton Wilson really forced 2. I mean, he had the interception there, and then he jumped up and deflected the ball that fell into Jack Sawyer's hands. I mean, those are game-changing plays there, especially that Jack Sawyer interception, because the Colts had just converted on 4th down a play or 2 earlier, where they seemingly were starting to snag a little bit of momentum. They convert on 4th down again because they were very good on 4th down today, and then boom, then we snag the momentum right back and are able to go and take control of the game. And so those are just game-changing plays you love to see from everybody, not everybody on the defense, but multiple people on the defense. Obviously, you mentioned Joey Porter's interception too. I mean, we're talking about different names creating turnovers is a big thing for the Steelers. Another guy I want to highlight on this defense that I'm not so sure we did yet, Kyle Duggar. I mean, come on, this guy just got traded to the team less than a week ago, and he made some not game-changing plays, but he made some solid plays today for only being on this defense for a couple of days. I mean, the one that comes to mind is a really good run stuff on Jonathan Taylor, where TJ Watt sort of wrapped him up, and then boom, Kyle Duggar came in the hole and made sure to finish off the tackle for no gain. I mean, it's plays like that. That's why they traded for him, to kind of fill that void that Deshaun Elliott with him being out. I mean, that's great to see for a guy that's only been in the locker room for less than a week, man. So wait till you get him kind of cooking up a little bit. You love to see Jabril Peppers maybe get healthy and them work in tandem a little bit. It was great to see Jalen Ramsey play a little safety. I mean, he really showed why he is a potential future Hall of Famer today, because he could play anywhere in that secondary and still make plays, man. I love seeing that dude tackle. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who really completes the tackle. He laid a nice pop on Tyler Warren today that you could hear through the broadcast. Man, was great to see. So I think that him stepping up like that, Wayne mentioned it too, not having the egos, going wherever the team needs me to go. That's what Jalen Ramsey had to do today. Hey, listen, if I have to play a little free safety and go somewhere else to help out the team, that's what I'm going to do. And he did it, and he did it well. So it's great to see. But Kyle Duggar especially, I think, is one to keep an eye on, or definitely give props to for only being there for a couple of days and making some pretty good plays out there today.
Additionally, Jonathan Taylor, the ability of the Steelers to stop that guy on the ground. He came in with 9 touchdowns in his last 9 rushing touchdowns, 10 total touchdowns in his last 4 games. And he only had 14 carries for a season low 45 yards. On one hand, I really believe, Wayne, that the fact that the Steelers were able to take the lead early forced the Colts offensively to go to the pass a little bit more than the rush, and that maybe benefited the Steelers from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, they played great on that defensive line, the penetration, and we're talking about a very talented Colts offensive line. And that's the thing I'm judging, not just the players, but who they're doing it against. And this Colts line, it's not just about Jonathan Taylor. He's a great running back. The line also has been a great run blocking line, but Benton and Hayward and Harmon, you can see the penetration. You can see guys trying on those read zones, not be able to execute them because they're getting pushed back, linebackers downhill, making plays. Peyton Wilson, I think the thing that I saw today was using his versatility and moving him around, putting him in certain situations with the kind of speed he has, to be able to move him, not always keeping him in that kind of middle Mike linebacker situation, but put him out on the edge, let him come around. He was making plays. And then when you were talking about egos, to be able to step to Jalen Ramsey, it means that he has to humble himself to embrace. And we've seen guys do it based on sometimes injury, like a Rod Woodson, go from corner to safety. Charles Woodson, go from corner to safety. I think even Deion Sanders right there late in his career. But guys that are big and fast like that, even when they get a step slower, being able to embrace that free safety spot, I think he's found a home. We've seen the physicality, so we're not worried about whether he will be physical with a guy. But you have to be able to admit, hey, I've kind of lost a step. Similar to what Tyler, I think, is saying about Darius Slay. Maybe, in year 12, he's 34 years old?
Yeah.
So you start thinking maybe he's more in a zone corner mindset. It's hard to be a man-to-man corner once you get over 30. Your feet just, the quickness, the size of these receivers. So I was just proud of the defense, and we knew, and all of us in unison was talking about the first thing they had to do today was take away the run, and to hold the Colts to 55 yards total, maybe about 2.5 a carry.
Yep.
Outstanding job to be able to do that.
James says, "We're my Tomlin haters." And here we go. This is always going to be the conversation, because what are we watching today? When everything seems to be on a roller coaster that'll never come back up, what happens? They go ahead and beat a 7-win football team in a pretty convincing fashion. Now, they won by 7, but they did have a +6 in the turnover margin. The Colts came in +8, second in the league in the turnover margin. So they had a fantastic game. But coming up next, as we reach halftime here on this Locked On Steelers Squad Show, instant reaction after a big 27-20 win over the Colts in Pittsburgh here this afternoon. What does this mean moving forward? Because we could play the same song and dance. We've seen this before. You get a big win, but then Steelers still have the Chargers next week. They've got the Ravens twice. There's still some big divisional matchups. So we're going to discuss all that and more still ahead here. Second half of the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. That's next. Stay with us. But first, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. More than 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save your job hours where every detail matters, and their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process so much smoother. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, second half, third quarter of the Steelers Squad Show right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Tyler Feldman. He's Ben Bobick. He's Wayne Gandy. And the Steelers were he and him today, a 27-20 win over the Colts. The chatter, there's always going to be chatter about the coaching because that's just where the Steelers team is, because you see games like this, gentlemen, where you're like, okay, if the Steelers can put together consecutive weeks of performances like this, they're set. Maybe they could win a playoff game, more than just reach the playoffs or more than just have a winning season. So, Wayne, I start with you. When you watch a game like this, what do the Steelers need to replicate? And was it schematics that were better today? Was the coaching better? What did you see from your vantage point, having 15 years of NFL experience and everything else that comes with your football knowledge, that led the Steelers to victory? But more importantly, how can they replicate this consistently?
Well, I saw, especially on the defense, because we have to give credit, everything that the offense did was basically set up by the defense. So defensively, I saw guys kind of check their ego, drop their bags off at the door, and came in to work. They left the whole defensive player of the year, the whole contract, the whole I'm going to the Hall of Fame, all those bags, they left at the door and seemed to need to prove to not only the fans, but to themselves that they still could play football. And you got to have that part in you. You know, one of the biggest things in is being satisfied and settled. And I saw each and every guy looked like, and that's why when you look at we got about 20 guys with tackles today. Everybody wanted to get in on the action. Everybody wanted to make some play that contributed in a big way to the win. It was a lot of energy, and if you can do it, I can do it better. And I just saw a whole, and I think it was because of the situation, as we talked about, the last two losses, not being able to play in the second half. We talked about the terrible tackling, like that's not even pro tackling last week. And then you come back. If you're going to blitz, then you have to be good tacklers, because guys are going to find themselves out in open space and somebody caught the ball. You got to get the guy down. Today, that's what happened. The embarrassment of Tucker Kraft last week, you know, you can't let Tyler Warren come in and do the same thing. You know, you got to come out. You're a professional team. And the best thing I saw was just that that spirit where today I'm just TJ Watt, the second-year player who needs to make a play to stay on the team. Because, you know, during the week, you could have got the speech about you do know half of you will be gone when I get fired. You know, that speech does happen now where you just close the door, turn on all the lights, and you start reading the statistics that 72% of the team is different. 2 years after I get fired, you won't be here either. The next coach will use you as a bargaining chip to get some draft picks. That's how it works. So you might want to come play. But I saw that, and then just the professionalism of guys being willing to move wherever and play wherever today and try to make some plays. Very proud of Alex Highsmith and the way Peyton Wilson was just flying around.
Highsmith definitely responded because, Wayne, you brought that up. If you're listening to the show right now, you know that if you checked in with us previously, Wayne talked about how Alex Highsmith was a ghost out there. Not the case today. The Steelers' schedule, though, Ben, it's kind of a gauntlet. So you love seeing a victory like this. You bounce back, you snap a 2-game slide, you get a big win over a very good Colts team. You have the Chargers Sunday Night Football next week, but then you've got Cincinnati, you've got Chicago, you've got Buffalo, you've still got Baltimore twice, you've got Detroit. How do you build off a win like this, Ben? And who do you lean on more after seeing a victory like this? Because if you look at the stat sheet, I'm surprised. If the Colts didn't have 6 turnovers, they likely win this football game. But because they gave the ball away, the Steelers were able to benefit enough to pull out the win.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say that, the Steelers created those turnovers. You know what I mean? It wasn't, maybe the one where Daniel Jones threw it to Peyton Wilson. But I think there was a little bit of a good chess match by the Steelers defense. But you think they won battles to create those turnovers today. TJ Watt won a one-on-one strip sack. Same with Alex Highsmith. Peyton Wilson jumping up to make a play in Daniel Jones's face on a called blitz. He was called into blitz that play, recognized what was happening, and then instead of going for the sack, stopped up and jumped, which created the turnover. So that's what you want to see. But I think, going from here, continue to play complementary football. Wayne touched on it. I mean, those turnovers turned into points. That's why you went and got a guy like Aaron Rodgers. We've been talking about on this show for since the offseason. Chris Carter has a bunch saying, like, that's why you go and get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, because when you get the turnovers, he's turning them into points. That wasn't the case in the past. We've got those turnovers in the past and then just puttered out or only got 3 out of it. They turned them into touchdowns today. And that's a big, large part thanks to Aaron Rodgers, man. That offense started slow, but found its rhythm. And I know Chris, actually, I saw one of his tweets during the game. I concur with him. If you would have told me the Steelers only would have, total rushing yards today, 38 rushing yards. If you would have told us before the game today that the Steelers would have 38 total rushing yards, everybody would have been like, oh, well, they might have got blown out. And then they're the one, and then it's quite, almost the opposite there. That's a credit to Aaron Rodgers, man. He's establishing that rapport with a lot of these guys. I mean, Darnell Washington has become a really big target, pun intended, for Aaron Rodgers, man. Even those early ones were the contested catch where he didn't catch it, and then obviously the one that hit his chest that would have been a touchdown on 4th and goal there, or 4th down, wasn't 4th and goal, excuse me. But still, he went right back to him. He made a lot of really good catches today. Calvin Austin made some great catches today, and it just is establishing that sort of rapport with this offense and rolling. I thought was really funny for one of Darnell Washington's catches in the second half. The Steelers love to throw that ball to the running back in the flat. They love it. They love to do that with Kenneth Gainwell and Jaylen Warren because it works. You get the ball to them in space and they get moving downhill and it keeps the sticks moving. It was funny where the team was the Colts were expecting that to happen in the second half today, where they pushed out Kenneth Gainwell and they bit on the flat, and then that's where Darnell Washington went behind it and found a soft spot in the zone and moved the sticks himself. And I was laughing on the couch and thinking, like, man, they do that throw to the running back in the flat so much that it actually worked in their favor, because the other team was like, oh, here it comes again, and they were able to sneak behind them. And now it's becoming even more of a weapon, because now teams are like, well, they're going to beat us on the back end. Now it's tough, but they threw the ball well today. It's good to see Booth get going. It's good to see the better Penn State tight end today was on our squad, not theirs. So that was a big deal. But I just think that continuing to play complementary football, continuing to score touchdowns in the red zone was big against a team like the Colts today, who've been putting up a lot of points, and it's going to be crucial against a team like the Chargers, who could put up a lot of points next week too. And you think about their defense may not be as good as an Indianapolis defense.
Chris Carter also tweeted, maybe they just honor all the Super Bowl teams at home games, #Steelers. And hey, I don't know. It worked today, Wayne, and you referenced that a couple of times. I'm curious, aside from this game in your career, was there ever a player that you met or a team that was honored that kind of inspired you in the moment to elevate your game? Did you ever have an experience like that?
Yeah, and it came with, first of all, when I got drafted, the great Jackie Slater, he was still with the Rams. So that was very humbling to walk in the locker room and you're 20, I'm 22. He's been in the league 19 years, and to play under him and get his tutelage. But definitely when you look out and you're playing and you get to meet guys that especially you've been sitting in a dorm room watching play or in high school, and now that's the competitor in you. You want to perform. You were at a 9, now you're at a 12 in your mind. You're going to do it today because so-and-so is looking on the sideline. And once I got to Pittsburgh in the 4 years I was there, one of the greatest times they were honoring the Mel Blount from I think it might have been 40 years for them back then. But to meet those guys and they're sitting in there while you warming up, and it's like, okay, we're going to have to play some football today. I was part of the last game in Three Rivers when we took on the Washington team. And it felt like a must win. We must close Three Rivers with a win. And it's as simple as that, when you have those. So you take it that we're already having a bad week. You're honoring the Super Bowl team. A lot of these guys, heroes, Joey's dad, and, guys that at least you might not ever go and say it outwardly, but inside we're all just big kids that that appreciate and honor. You don't want Jerome Bettis, if you're the other running back, to know, but a Jonathan Taylor sitting there thinking, oh, okay, I used to be the bus. I told you guys when I got a chance to meet Tony Dorsett, and I was looking down at him like, hey man, I used to be you, man. When I was 8, you couldn't have told me I wasn't Tony. I felt like, there was a standard and there was a part of it that's a privilege that these guys had paved. And it's the same thing in Pittsburgh. So as much as people might want to sit there and discount, but Cam Hayward is playing to be part of that peer group. That's his peer group. TJ those are the guys. Those guys on the wall are standing here, not just on the wall, but on the field. We're going to have to play some football today, and that's really all it is. It's about, Tyler, finding how to get someone to do what you're already talented enough to do. Because that's why you're in the NFL. Now I got to get you to want to do it. And something as simple as that, back against the wall, and you're going to invite all these guys out here to watch me. And so let's play football. And I just thought they did a great job. And I know we look at the schedule and we try to find games for them to lose. I just think that you have to realize, as I always say, this is a 10-17.
Yeah.
Or as the personnel. That don't mean they couldn't squeeze out maybe to 11, or they might end up at 9. But when you look at the personnel, it's a 10-17 that gets that last slot in the playoffs. And you just got Aaron Rodgers. So if you can have one of these kind of games in the playoffs, he's there to manage and make sure you get in the end zone. So when you get that strip sack and get us the ball on the 13, now we have a guy that's going to make sure we're going to punch it in. So to me, it's just that team. It is highs and lows. As I said, same expectations, but it's going to be a different way of getting there.
It's out of love, Wayne. It's out of love. Dang, Wayne, I didn't think you were that old. Kevin Lynch just coming out firing. Hey, man, I just appreciate the storytelling. I'm here for the stories. You've lived a life that Ben and I and many of our listeners, most of our listeners, have not lived. So I take all the insight and information that you can share. That's fantastic. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you mentioned, the old heads being there. I thought it was a really cool moment there when Joey Porter Jr. had the interception late and it flashed the senior in the crowd, and he was wearing Junior's jersey. So he switched into dad mode after the celebration and the on the field, celebration, probably had his 55 on, and then switched it out to cheer on Jr. in the game. I thought it was really cool that moment there, and I think it was special for him to get that interception. But also, I thought it was extra special to see him in a 24 jersey instead of 55 on a day where they were celebrating him and his teammates from Super Bowl 40.
Certainly a lot of special at, I wish I could say Heinz Field. It's now Acrisure Stadium. I just think it would have been more proper to have the ketchup bottles somewhere come out of anywhere for that team. It just didn't seem totally right. It was a lot of special. We still have one special quarter left to play here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. The Steelers taking down the Colts 27-20 with the 20-year anniversary honorees. That Super Bowl XL team, the Steelers taking down the Seattle Seahawks that year. It was a special year, a lot of great memories, and those were relived at Acrisure Stadium here today. When we come back, I want to touch more on the matchup next week, Sunday night against the Chargers, but I also want to discuss more maybe the frustration in knowing the Steelers are just maybe a couple players or plays away from being that upper level team, and it's just like they just can't seem to get there. So we're going to discuss that next right here on the final quarter of the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. But first, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Final quarter, Locked On Steelers Squad Show. He's Wayne Gandy. He's Benjamin Bobick. I'm Tyler Feldman. Happy to be sharing this Sunday late afternoon, early evening with all of you watching wherever you may watch this show. We appreciate you tuning in twice a week with us here on the squad. The Steelers guys, big winners today. I think surprised a lot of people across the country, NFL world. I don't think a lot of people had the Steelers winning this football game. Yeah, they were at home, but the Colts were humbled, and the Steelers came to play, and that defense stepped up. Let's touch on this first, though, because we talked about this a little bit right before break, but the Steelers just seemingly a couple players away, a couple plays away, maybe a couple different schemes away from being that top level in the NFL when it comes to Super Bowl contenders. I don't believe they're there right now, despite a big win like this. Why is that, and how do they get there? I just feel like they're so close, and maybe that's where the fan frustration is coming in on a weekly basis. It's like today, yeah, they won, but we don't know yet.
Well, a lot of it stems from that you have a team that has to win games as a team, especially offensively. We have Aaron Rodgers, but we really have him in a box of, an older quarterback that's just there to kind of manage. We're not expecting 10 years ago. We're expecting a guy that just plays efficient football. And then you go through the rest of the personnel, and we don't really have any kind of brand name. We don't have a running back. When you look at the three guys, no knock against them, but they're more seen probably to be the second guy, the second running back for, if they were in a competition. So we don't have a Saquon. We don't have a Bijan Robinson. And then when you talk about the receiving core, right now our pass game is about our tight ends. We don't really see this kind of system a lot, where the tight ends most likely are going to make the biggest impact. Today, DK Metcalf had 2 catches, I think. But the tight ends, Jonnu, Pat Fairmouth, and also with Washington, they had more catches, more impactful catches. So I think that we're just not used to this brand, especially in Pittsburgh. There's usually always been some bell cow of an explosive player that we were trying to get the ball to, or we thought was going to take the game over. And we're just going to have to grind this out. And I think that's why that feeling is there. We don't have a superhero offensively that's hurt. And now we found out the defense is going to have to be schemed a little bit more than we thought. We thought they were just going to be able to walk on a field, dominate. And now we learn they're going to have to scheme to play. But this is going to be a total team effort. One of those teams, when I look at them, I go back to that Eli Manning team for the Giants that snuck in the playoff, and just got hot, but it was nothing really special about the team. They just got hot. They were healthy. And that's kind of how I look at the Steelers. If their first goal is just to get to the playoffs. And, and really the first goal is just to win this division so you have a home playoff game.
Wait, that's a great point. I didn't really think of the comp to a team like that Eli Manning Giants team, but hey, I love that. Hey, that's fine by me. It's just you go through the ebbs and flows of what a regular season is like with a team like that, right? Ben, when you look at where this team is at right now, so close to where they want to be and where all of us fans want them to be, what do you think's holding them back, and how do they jump over that?
Yeah, well, you mentioned teams getting hot at the right time, too. I mean, been talking a lot about them today. Look at the Super Bowl 40 team, man. That team was 7-5. They were 7-5, and they won the last 3 games of the regular season just to get in the playoffs, and they were the first 6 seed to go on to win the Super Bowl, won 3 road games. And so it is sometimes it is all about getting hot at the right time. But also, I feel like I've been preaching this on every single show since week maybe 1 or 2. You just want to continuously get better each week. There's a lot of new guys on this team. They didn't play in the preseason, Wayne. So they got their preseason out of the way. I mean, we're only just getting to the halfway point of the season.
We're still talking about the preseason.
We're talking about preseason, man. We're preseason. But, we're only at about the halfway point of the season. 8 games in now? We're right there at the halfway point. We got a long road to go. It's just all about getting hot at the right time, but also continuously getting better, which I think the Steelers are. The defense took a step in the right direction today. The offense is seemingly getting more rhythm as it continues to go on, and it doesn't have to be so reliant on the run game being there. As we saw today, they were still able to put up points without the run game firing on all cylinders. It's all about just trying to get better at the right time and playing your best ball when you need to, because and quite frankly, they're going to need to when you look ahead at their schedule. Like you mentioned, man, it is a bit of a gauntlet. We got the Chargers. We still have to play the Ravens twice. We have to play the Bills. We have to play the Lions. And you know what? We do have to play the Bengals again, who are playing some great football right now with Joe Flacco. He threw for 470 yards today against Chicago, who we also have to play. So it's the NFL, and it's easy to look ahead for us, but it's just all about getting better as the season goes on. I like what I saw from people. The trendy thing to say is all about getting another wide receiver, but I really like what I saw from Calvin Austin today. He made some great catches. I think about the one he made over the middle after DK Metcalf dropped one to convert a big 3rd down. I mean, I think getting the ball to him in space more is going to be a great thing for this team. I think, it's the trendy thing to say, but, we're already a moving train, to borrow a Mike Tomlin quote, if you will. So it's tough for a receiver to be to come in and make a prominent impact. I mean, I think about last year when they went and got Mike Williams. Didn't really do much. Granted, he was a bit past his prime a bit, but that's what you're going to get at this point in the game. You're not going to – why just add another cook in the kitchen when we roll with the guys we have? But I do think, I think Kyle Duggar is a great addition. I think he played a great day or a great game today, but I think it's just consistently getting better. Don't make the same mistake twice. Play great team football, because Wayne's been talking about it, and that's what this is. It's not like the Bills or the Chiefs where you just have Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes going out there making plays just because they're future Hall of Famers and they're just one of one when it comes to athletes. And you can throw Lamar Jackson in that mix too if you want to get specific, but it's about playing team football. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers need to play in order for them to be successful in the long run. And today was a good example of that. Complementary football at its finest. Turnovers turning into touchdowns, beating a good team in the Indianapolis Colts.
Wayne, before we touch on the Chargers matchup on Sunday Night Football next week, I did want to leave the floor open for any player that we haven't really highlighted today that maybe stuck out. And if there's no other guys that we've already talked about, totally fine, but I wanted to leave that floor open for you.
No, I'm just so, the first thing is just Alex Highsmith. I can't say it enough about him, the way he responded. And I just know It seemed like he was a newborn pup on that sideline, and it looked like his teammates were responding to him in that same way when he, like, okay, it's finally happening for you. You're getting in better situation. So I think we hit on Peyton Wilson being able to put Ramsey and to me, him humbling himself to move to free safety, and everything else he's trying to do to be part and make an impact on this team.
When I hear new pup, forgive me, but that is a newborn pup doesn't know where to handle its business, right? I don't know. It seemed like Alex Highsmith knew how to handle and where to handle his business today. We're going to have to we'll shelf that for another show, Wayne. We will shelf that conversation for a different show. Hey, 2 weeks ago, the Chargers lost to the Colts 38-24. So now next week it's the Steelers and Chargers. What do we think, guys? Sunday Night Football, another primetime situation for Pittsburgh. You'd like to see them win that game on the West Coast. But again, I wish I could feel super positive that things will go right in that game, but I guess I'm just not there yet. I want to be there. Yeah. I want to be there. How do I get there?
Yeah. It's going to be tough because it's going to be another test for the secondary, man. They have a great crop of receivers there in Los Angeles. Quentin Johnston's having a great season. Lad McConkey, a guy that I actually covered in high school, North Murray High School, Georgia Bulldog. I was at that kid's signing day when Kirby Smart offered him on the 11th hour to come be a Georgia Bulldog. And look at him now. He's in the NFL catching passes from Justin Herbert, signing one of the biggest, I think the biggest contract for a second-round pick in NFL history. He's actually just a great kid and all-around athlete. Keenan Allen's playing well there, and Justin Herbert is who he is, man. And so it's going to be tough. But you rely on a similar game plan with today. You stop the run and you try to get that pressure on the quarterback and make Justin Herbert uncomfortable. And I think a big reason for that today was, the secondary held up. They were in the right spots because that's what it felt like against the Bengals and especially against the Packers. They were just needed like another second and a half, maybe two, to get to the quarterback. They got that extra second and a half today, and that's when you started to see some chaos happening around Daniel Jones. So it's going to be a tough one, especially going out west. Sunday Night Football, you get the primetime treatment for the second time in three weeks. But the best part about Steelers Nation, at a game like Los Angeles in prime time with the Chargers moving from San Diego, there's going to be a lot of black and gold in SoFi Stadium on Sunday night. We all know that. So it's going to be you feed off that and you hopefully just build off of this game and try to make it more consistent, because if you can get this win, then you're really cooking.
I love how the terrible towel is just a slightly off yellow compared to the Charger yellow. So you put that, it's just a perfect mix for me in the stands there in LA. It should be fun to see. Wayne, when you look at this matchup a week out, Steelers, how do they keep this going? How do they win two after losing two straight?
Well, I think I'm with you, Ben. I'm expecting for it to be some crowd noise. I'm looking for that when you look away from the TV, it's loud and you're trying. I thought the game was in LA, because the Steelers fans are cheering so loud. But I think as today, the Chargers are one dimensional. There's been a couple of games that Justin Herbert, who's not necessarily a dual threat quarterback, he's the leading rusher for this team. So we're going to get a template from today for next week where it's going to be a lot of throwing. The secondary, Alex Highsmith, let's add another game. We'll talk about it later in the week. But the blitz is going to have to get there. They're going to have to be in the right spots, and they're going to have to make some tackles on a talented receiving core out in open space. Because you got to keep that same aggression and make him get rid of the ball short and make some tackles. I think that, they don't run the ball really good. They don't have that dynamic running back. So it's going to be about the pressure they can create and the tackling on the back end. And then offensively, the Chargers, to me, the Chargers defense has always been a lot of puff. If they always act like but they can be bullied and pushed around. They don't really stand up to pressure well, but I'm looking for us to build on today. And we got to get the fan base. We got to get Tyler to get energized.
Come on. the energy is there. It's the full-on commitment to believing in this version of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, I'm a little bit bummed Najee Harris out, so we won't get to see him against the Steelers. That was a matchup before the season that I had kind of circled that I was really excited to see. I'm a little bit bummed about that. Hey, Justin Herbert, I don't know if you've seen, he's got a new girlfriend. He's been busy. He's distracted, so he's been going to different games courtside. He's been going to this. He's been going to that. He's been pictured here. He's been pictured there. So, hey, that could favor the Steelers next week.
He was sacked 6 times today.
Well,
yeah.
Well, that's what happens.
By the Tennessee Titans, too. By the Tennessee Titans.
That's what happens when you have a little bit too much beer in your life. You lose focus. Okay?
Yeah. Amen, brother.
Hey, a reminder, you can listen to the audio of today's show on the Locked On Steelers podcast channel, wherever and however you podcast. And Steelers Nation, reminder, we appreciate you. Please throw us a like, subscribe. That helps us out. But that'll do it for this post-game edition of the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. I just found out I could play music underneath, and I'm loving this little rock and roll, okay, to send us home. Hey, Renegade was pretty great today. For Wayne Gandy, Ben Bobick, I'm Tyler Feldman saying good night, and here we go. We will see you Wednesday night for more previewing of that Steelers, Chargers, West Coast Sunday Night Football matchup next Sunday night.